Friends, I was finishing watching the press conference, and so that's why it took me a little bit longer to get to y'all. Hi, everybody. Welcome. I have notes for you tonight. Hi. I yesterday thought it was Monday all day long, so I I don't remember what happened. Something happened, and then I saw it was Tuesday at like 4 o'clock or something like that. So I panicked and I was like, oh no, should I do my live and just not have notes, or should I wait until tomorrow? And so I made a poll, and a lot of you very graciously voted in it, and the majority was that I should just wait till tonight and do it with notes. So here we are, and we'll get through these notes. I have kind of a lot. There was just stuff rolling in as I was about to go live, so I was just finishing my notes up. Cairo, Egypt, that's so awesome. I want to go to Egypt really bad. I feel like I'm very done with traveling. I've done a lot of traveling in my life, and you know, with the internet and everything and how kind of connected all of our cultures have become, there really aren't a lot of places in the world that you can go that feels very different, like in my opinion. Europe feels very much like, you know, there are obviously different things about Europe and very wonderful things about Europe that we don't have here in the United States. But overall, there's kind of this sense of it not being like super culture shock different. I feel like it would be like that in possibly like Tokyo. I would love to go to Tokyo, and Egypt is one of the other places that I would really like to go, but I don't really have the desire to travel to many other places. Long Island, that's exotic too. Yeah, every day just kind of bleeds into the next, and who knows what day it is ever. So, all right. If you are new to my YouTube channel, I know that I've gotten a lot of new subscribers today, thanks to a bunch of really gracious Twitter accounts such as Methods that retweeted my plea to subscribe to me. My Twitter has been kind of taking off, and I've been getting a ton of new followers on there, but for some reason I had been stuck around 14,000 subscribers on my YouTube for months. And so it was kind of frustrating. So, okay, so I'm seeing something about the data dump today, and I'll just address that quickly because a lot of you are saying it. I know a lot of you are very excited about that, et cetera, et cetera. I had a ton of people sending me stuff about that. So from what it looks like to me, at least right now, I'm not seeing anything new in the WikiLeaks that wasn't already there. So this has happened several times before, where we'll get this like big news that there's a new data dump on WikiLeaks, and everyone will start digging through it. And once people start digging through it, they start realizing that it's all the stuff that's already been there, that we've already seen. And of course, not all of us have seen every bit of it. So a lot of us will find new things, and it gets really exciting thinking that there's a lot of new information. So as of right now, I have yet to see anything new come from the new data dump. So we'll see. Obviously, I hope that there's more stuff coming out. We will always want new information, don't we? Always want more. But as of right now, I'm not getting my hopes up on it too much, because what it looks like to me is that it's just the same stuff. Like one of the things I was seeing was, who was it? Hang on one second. Anyway, whatever. I just basically, this is stuff that has been around as far as I'm seeing. It's also kind of suspicious in that we recently have a new platform that went up. It's another one of the Chans, and it seems like a way to kind of create a frenzy to stir up interest and to get people on there. So it was the timing of it was a little interesting to me. But if anybody finds anything that is like bona fide brand new on that, on the WikiLeaks, then I would love to see it. But as far as I knew, you know, it's like Hugh says, you guys have the website, we have the source. I don't know if they have been compromised or not, but we'll see. So that's my little that's my little take on that. So we'll get into my notes. First thing, Peter Beard. Oh, I was just getting into this. If you're new to my channel, this is the first time you've been here, what we do is I go through all the headlines first and I'll kind of talk about these things. Everything that I talk about in my headlines, there will be a source below, so you can go and check it out for yourself. Peter Beard, who is Epstein's personal photographer, was found dead in the woods after going missing last month. I believe we covered it when he went missing. But this guy had a very interesting life. So his body was found not far from his Long Island property on Sunday. And he was 82, and he was a wildlife photographer, one-time fixture at Studio 54 and pal of Andy Warhol. He suffered from dementia and had been missing from his Cliffside Montauk compound since March 31st. He was found by a hunter, and okay, so he was born in Manhattan high society in 1938. Beard fell in love with Africa as a boy after seeing Museum of Natural History dioramas depicting the continent. In the mid-60s, he purchased a rugged 45-acre property in Kenya as Hog Ranch and spent decades there working. His first two marriages were to a socialite, Minnie Cushing, in the 1960s, and then supermodel Cheryl Teague in the 1980s. And then he wed the daughter of a high court judge. So this guy's pretty dialed in. He was also rumored to have had a stash of incriminating evidence and photos from Epstein's clientele, which we've all speculated is something that could be out there. So that would make sense, but I don't have any concrete evidence of that. And interestingly enough, my second link that I have below is a picture that I found of him with Ray Chandler. Ray Chandler is another one of these characters that has come up with Q that we've been looking into. I don't believe she's been spotted in the last couple years. I have no idea where she is. She owns a modeling agency, which some people speculate is used for nefarious reasons. And if you actually, a lot of people went and dug through her Instagram. I've done that too. Very disturbing stuff. So anyway, that man's death is interesting, and his life seems very interesting. World Health Organization is an avid supporter of the so-called children's sexual rights movement, which is basically sexualizing kids. And President Trump just defunded the World Health Organization, which is a good thing. It's widely agreed that WHO mishandled the COVID-19 outbreak and displayed behavior that evidenced it in intriguing alliance with communist China, or at the very least fear of it. So what's less well known is the WHO's alliance with organizations that promote what they call, quote, sexual rights for children, which can be understood as encouraging sexual behavior and ideas from an extremely young age. I really recommend you go through this article. There's a lot in here, and I'm not going to go over every bit of it, but very questionable stuff. And this seems like what could possibly be behind. We've talked about these sexual programs now running through some schools. I know they're already implicated in parts of the UK, where they're teaching very young children about masturbation, like self-touching, and just very, very grown-up topics for very young children. And some things possibly we could argue that nobody ever needs to be taught. Stuff like, I don't even want to say it, but, things that aren't normal sex, guys. So, and this is what we're teaching children. So, one of the things that's in here is that their logo, and of top tier UN agencies. Remember that the WHO is UN, including the WHO. All appear on the front cover of UNESCO's, that's the Internal Technology Guidance on Sexual Education, Internal Technical Guidance on Sexual Education, published in January of 2018. This document, posted on the WHO website, is laced with references to childhood sexuality, including these statements. Young people want and need sexuality and sexual health information as early and comprehensively as possible. Children should have an agency in their own, should have agency in their own sexual practices and relationships. Comprehensive sexuality education can help children form respectful and healthy relationship relationships with sexual partners. It's just really gross. So, you know, it is of my opinion that this is an evil organization pushing evil things. I think this is very bad. I think there's a reason that they go after children like this. You know, it's the destruction of the family unit. It's increasing the number of unprotected children and people that are kids that are, you know, just exposed to these things, and it does something to them mentally. And it's possibly a tactic that's used to harvest, you know, children to traffic. And speaking of the WHO, a whistleblower has claimed the UN staff carried out approximately 60,000 rapes in the last decade. Keep in mind, Hollywood, remember the other night they had that concert that like nobody cared about? Well, they raised $150 million for them. So Hollywood is very embroiled in this. So a whistleblower has claimed the UN staff could have carried out 60,000 rapes in the last decade as aid workers indulge in sex abuse unchecked around the world. The claim is in a bombshell dossier that the former senior United Nations official, Andrew McLeod, handed over to DFID Secretary Priti Patel last year. Professor McLeod also estimated that there are 3,300 pedophiles working for the world body's various agencies alone. Thousands more predatory sex abusers specifically target aid charity jobs to get close to vulnerable women and children. Anyway, that's another thing to go into. There are tens of thousands of aid workers around the world with pedophile tendencies. And if you wear a UNICEF t-shirt, this is a quote from him, if you wear a UNICEF t-shirt, nobody will ask you what you're up to. You have impunity to do whatever you want. The epidemic across the aid industry across the world, the system is at fault, and they should have stopped this years ago. So not only do you have the people doing this, but you've got people high up in high levels covering up for it. Facebook working with state governments to take down coronavirus lockdown protest announcements. So Facebook says it's working with state governments to take down organizing announcements for protests of the COVID-19 Chinese coronavirus lockdowns. The protests have been spreading around the nation by Americans concerned the cure is worse than the disease and is killing the country, and that the orders by the governments go far beyond what is necessary to control the spread of the virus. Anyway, so yeah, we've got Facebook now working in tandem. It's no mystery that Facebook is not for and by the people. Canada had its deadliest mass shooting, I believe, since what, the 70s or 80s. At least 23 people was the last number that I saw were killed after a gunman went on a rampage in Nova Scotia over the weekend in Canada's deadliest mass shooting to date. The suspected gunman, Gabriel Wortman, a 51-year-old denturist, was dressed as a police officer and had disguised his car to look like a police vehicle. So I guess he was driving around. They were saying that it seems like his first victims were targeted, but then he was just kind of like going after whoever. People were shot in their homes, and then their homes were set on fire. So that was another reason why they were not having a body count right away. They were still uncovering bodies from these burned homes. A spokesman confirmed that 22 people, this article was older than the one that I saw, were killed in the attack, as well as the gunman. This is another interesting thing. So even in, okay, this that I'm reading comes from the same article, okay? A police spokesman confirmed that 22 people were killed in the attack, as well as the gunman, okay? So then later on they say that, I don't see it in my thing, I didn't put it in my notes, but they said that they had him in custody and that he died later. So there were conflicting reports coming out that he was included in the casualties and that he was apprehended. So I don't know if they're saying that he was shot and later succumbed to his wounds, but I will say that immediately there were conflicting reports that he was already dead or that he was currently in custody. So that tends to happen a lot. And I don't know if it's just because people are scrambling to get the information out, they're not verifying, and everybody wants to be the first, so they're coming out with crappy information. But another interesting thing about this, despite police providing Twitter updates on the attack, there were no alerts that would have automatically popped up on people's mobile phones. They possibly could have saved people. They were putting out tweets about it, but they were not alerting the people in the area. He was arrested by the Royal Canadian, okay, here we go, Canadian Mounted Police at a petrol station on Sunday. Police later announced he had died. So then in related news, the next link I have, Justin Trudeau pledges ban on assault-style weapons after Canada's deadliest shooting. Weird. Yeah. So you can go ahead and take a look at that. Hold on, let me check in with my chat, friends. I don't know if you guys, every time I look at this, I always get discouraged because I'm always locked up on mine. And I always have a weird look on my face, like one eye shut. Hello, hello, hello. Dead count keeps changing. Yeah, so the first, like, I don't know, the first day, they were, every news, every article I was seeing and every tweet about it I was seeing was saying 17 people, including the gunman. Well, it was 17 people, including the gunman, and they were saying 17 people, not including the gunman. So either way, they were saying it was 17 people. And so everybody was like, oh my gosh, okay, 17. But it has since gone up, and it keeps changing. Just like the story on Kim Jong-un, it's hard to figure out what's going on there because we have so many conflicting reports. I swear every time I see a new report, it's either like, he's fine, he's dead. He's got the sniffles, he's brain dead. So who knows what's going on there. But I do think it's interesting that, you know, when I think about information getting passed along like that, you know, we talk about like, how do you find a leak, or like, how do you find the source of, you know, where the water is coming out or whatever. You would like you could like put dye in the water and see like where that is coming from. Possibly when we have these kinds of stories, it always makes me think, I wonder if some information gets leaked to people so that they can see like, okay, obviously this person is our leak because we gave them, you know, information X, and then information X ends up in the media. So that would be interesting. Reports say the youngest victim was 17. I didn't see that. Man. Okay, so police bust horrific child sex abuse ring spread across 5 states in a global child exploitation sting triggered by a U.S. Department of Homeland Security investigation has rescued 4 Australian children as young as 2 months old who were used to produce and exchange child rape videos and images through online pedophile networks around the world. This gets into a lot about the dark web. The dark web should just like explode as far as I'm concerned. There's nothing good that could possibly happen on there. It also is very discouraging. In this article, they also go over how the cases of these, of the exchange, like the supply and demand of this has gone up since the lockdowns, which is really disgusting. Anyway, I have a ton of notes here, but I actually don't feel like reading them. But I've got everything, you know, everything I had on this came from the article anyway. So if you want to read about that, please do go to that article. I always like to bring it up though, just because it's important to keep an eye on these takedowns that are happening. It's both devastating and also hopeful, because we already know these things are happening. This is nothing new to us. And so the hopeful part of it is that something's being done about it, and on a worldwide level. White House petition to investigate Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation for Crimes Against Humanity surpasses 250,000 signatures. This is from the article. It seems that some Americans believe that Bill Gates is not that innocent, as a White House petition calls for an investigation into the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation for, quote, crimes against humanity and, quote, medical malpractice. The petition has gained a staggering over 265,000 signatures from concerned citizens, almost tripling the number required to get a response from the White House. It has what is in the petition in the article I have linked, but I can just read this to you. As we look at events surrounding COVID-19 pandemic, various questions remain unanswered. On October 18th of 2019, Only weeks prior to Ground Zero being declared in Wuhan, China, 2 major events took place. One is Event 201, which again, interestingly enough, remember when Tom Hanks put out that, I don't know if it was an Instagram post or a Twitter post where he was talking about playing gin rummy with his wife. He said he was up 201 points, which somebody had pointed out to me. Gin rummy only goes to 100 points. And the other is Military World Games, held in none other than Wuhan. Since then, a worldwide push for vaccines and biometric tracking has been initiated. At the forefront of this, Bill Gates, who has publicly stated in his interest in reducing population growth by 10 to 15% by means of vaccination. UNICEF and WHO, Gates, UNICEF, and WHO have already been credibly accused of intentionally sterilizing Kenyan children through the use of hidden HCG antigen in tetanus vaccinations, or vaccines. Congress and all other governing bodies are derelict in duty until a thorough and public inquiry is complete. So we'll keep an eye on that. I've got a couple links below to a couple different sound bites from the press conferences. I believe these are both from either yesterday or the day before. They might even be from 2 different ones. But anyway, one of them, a lot of us that kind of like perked up, like you hear something, this is just human nature, you guys. Even like when Bill Gates said that, you can actually look up the speech that Bill Gates gives where he says, if we do our job right, we can reduce the population by 10 to 15% over the whatever. It's human nature to be like, did I hear that right? He must have misspoke. There's no way he really means that. We doubt ourselves more than we doubt the people that we've been told to trust. So, you know, when Trump said this quote, there were a lot of us that were like, myself included, like, did I just hear that? But he sounds like he's saying that we have a cure for AIDS. So I'm going to read to you what he says because I can't play the clip. He says, what we've done for AIDS in Africa is unbelievable. We spend $6 billion a year. That's been going on for a long time. Nobody knows that. You've never heard that. I've never heard that. $6 billion a year. Millions of people are living right now and living very comfortably because of the fact that we found the answer to that horrible, horrible plague. And it is a plague. So that was an interesting quote. You can go and click the link below and listen to him say that himself. And then also Dr. Brix made an interesting comment. I have a link below to a video of her saying that we no longer have the flu. That's weird. And then there's another link to, I believe this was yesterday, Hot Mic, as they were getting ready to, I don't know if this was C-SPAN, because I know C-SPAN will sit there with, you know, their cameras ready to go. Until the president comes out, and so you can watch and you can sometimes hear the audio of what's going on in the room before they get in there. And so I don't know if this was C-SPAN, but it was somebody that was, or maybe it was an online stream. Anyway, you can hear the reporters talking, and one of the guys is like, you could take off that mask, and then you can hear somebody else saying, everybody here has been vaccinated anyway. What does that mean? Vaccinated for what? Vaccinated for the flu? Because that's not why we were wearing masks right now. I don't know. That struck me as being weird. And then the other person says, you can't see them. All you can do is hear the audio. So I have no idea who's talking or who's saying what. USC and LA County Public Health came out with a study. They found that there's 7,000 cases in California, but they really believe that there's anywhere from 221,000 to 442,000 people who were infected. And one of the other guys says it's a study, and he says, yeah, it just came out today. He said, so it would suggest the mortality rate is 1/10 of what it seems to be. Wow, so that puts it right on with the flu. And the guy's like, yeah, exactly, that's what it is. And so the other person's like, so it's a hoax. And then the guy's like, well, I don't know if it's a hoax or not. But anyway, this was an interesting thing to hear kind of behind the scenes, hear what they were talking about. This is certainly not how they're reporting it. I can tell you that. I don't even have to see their faces or know their names because I read the mainstream media. They're all reporting the same stuff. So anyway, they're talking very differently behind the scenes. There were a lot of little nuggets in there that I thought were fascinating, so there's a link to that below. A New York bill would require HPV vaccine for children to enter school or daycare. The bill is sponsored by State Senator Brad Holman. of Manhattan, whose legislation eliminating the religious exemption for vaccines in school children was recently signed by Governor Cuomo. This is a quote from Holman. He says, it would require all children born after January 1st, 2008 to receive the HPV vaccine to attend school or daycare in New York. Similar legislation passed in other states, including Rhode Island. According to the Center for Disease Control, the Gardasil 9 is currently the only HPV vaccine available in the United States. The CDC website says of 29 million cases, there were 7,244 reports of adverse events from the vaccination. Only 3% were considered serious, meaning it was linked to death, a life-threatening event, or a disability. If there is even a slight possibility of it killing you or disabling you for life, then you need to have a choice, and certainly for children. And I happen to know a girl personally who was vaccine injured by the Gardasil vaccination in her 20s, and can no longer have children. So I obviously have feelings about this, but yeah, keep an eye on this. Supreme Court has announced on Monday it will live stream oral arguments in 10 cases next month, including 3 centered on President Donald Trump's financial records. It's a historic breakthrough in public access to America's highest court. The decision to make their teleconference arguments public brings some immediate transparency to an institution that has long prided itself on resisting technology and live broadcasts of any kind. The court is allowing access to real-time arguments only for special May sittings during the COVID-19 pandemic. It's interesting, though, what this could possibly be opening the door to. And, you know, I know we all have a lot of feelings about, you know, Donald Trump's financial records and, you know, the privacy that he is due, et cetera, et cetera. But, you know, something that crossed my mind is he possibly falling on the sword to be like, okay, you know, this, you know, I'll go first and show, you know, that, you know, they're even doing it to me, but maybe more transparency would be a good thing. So, and it could be very important in trials to come. So we'll see about that. Former U.S. Attorney Joe diGenova was on a radio show earlier this week, and he dropped some bombshells when discussing the ongoing work related to the crimes committed by Obama's deep state actors. And he was actually talking about Bill Barr. I believe he was talking about Bill Barr, Bill Barr interview on maybe like Laura Ingraham or something. I could have that wrong. But anyway, he's talking about Bill Barr and how he said he announced there are going to be indictments in this case. He said, yeah, sure, John Durham could write a special report, but that's not what he's doing. He's getting ready to bring indictments if he has the evidence. I think it's pretty clear that John Brennan, if he doesn't have a lawyer now, then he better get one because the indictments are coming. So that's exciting. And, you know, that's also something that we've talked about before, too, is that everyone's talking about, oh, the Durham report. It's not a report. I mean, like he said, yeah, sure, he could write a report, but that's not his task at hand. His task at hand, first and foremost, is to bring indictments if there are indictments to bring. It sounds like he's going to bring them. National Security Guard unit ready to enforce martial law in Washington, D.C. This was an article by Zero Hedge. Ever since governors started calling up National Guard units last month, the Pentagon has insisted that soldiers remain firmly under the command of the governors that called them up, and that the Pentagon isn't using the troops to plan for any federal secret missions or martial law should a crisis spiral out of control and threaten continuity of government. Now, a report in Newsweek purports to prove that the Pentagon lied. In reality, a 10,000 soldier strong National Guard unit has been deployed to the capital area with a secret assignment to enforce martial law in Washington, D.C. and help evacuate lawmakers and top government officials if things go south. So a couple of things here, you know, if they are anticipating, one thing that came to mind for me is that Q said that the first indictment unsealed will trigger mass, you know, population awakening, or however they put it. that could be either a good thing or a bad thing. So if it was somebody that was of a very high level, you know, somebody in the public eye that a lot of people believed in or whatever, it could cause riots and things like that. You know, awakening does not always go smoothly. So, you know, possibly those are in place for that kind of scenario. It also could be that possibly there could be more to it. There could be, you know, they could be acting at in a different capacity to possibly be the ones to round people up. I don't know if they're going to be mass arrests or not, but I am seeing, and I myself, and also seeing other people report themselves, a lot of different activity in the sky with interesting planes and helicopters. And I have some friends in the military talking about stuff that they're seeing that's very out of the ordinary. And it does seem like there is something we're not being told. So keep that in mind. Famous heavyweight boxer David Rodriguez has put out a video the other day, and I know this was going around like crazy, but I still want to go over it. So this is a quote from him, and he says, "There's a big sting operation going down. I'm telling you, man, these pedophile rings are going down. Hollywood ain't cool anymore. There's a big operation going down, and they're getting taken out. I don't think you understand how prevalent these pedophile rings really are in Hollywood and in the sports arenas and the political arena." So this is a guy, in the beginning of the video, he's talking about how he's rubbed shoulders with people like Oprah, etc., and that he's been around these things. I don't know if he's got firsthand knowledge of this stuff going on, or if he's hearing the same things that we are hearing, but obviously we lend a little bit more credence to somebody that is actually knows these people. Most of us are just sitting here going like, you know, seeing Ellen's Kitchen through her, you know, Instagram posts and like speculating on why she has such crappy art and whatever. But, you know, so I don't know, but I do think that it's very brave of him to say these things, and we hope that if there are people out there that do have firsthand knowledge, they start coming forward more and more and giving us that transparency and the truth. This kind of goes back, I should have put this back up with the UN stuff that the World Health Organization stuff that I was talking about earlier. This is actually older. This is from May of 2019, but I just wanted to bring it up because it paints the picture that Lady Gaga's mom, Cynthia Germanotta, was named the Goodwill ambassador for the UN's World Health Organization. So this is like that George Carlin quote, like, it's a big club and you ain't in it. When you start to put it together, I also the other day reposted something that was a couple years old about Tom Hanks being the one to turn on the whatever it's called at CERN. And it's important to look at those things with new eyes now that we are awake and asking the right questions and seeing the right things and watching these patterns form. Why Tom Hanks? You know, why Lady Gaga's mother? Why do these people go into these, you know, like, why are they just all brought into these positions of, you know, things that they don't seem to have really any background in? I don't think that Tom Hanks has any background in, you know, particle collision, whatever the heck they're doing in CERN. So whatever, just something to keep in mind. Then this was one of the things that was coming out right as I was going live. So, well, not the first part. The first part was a new hydroxychloroquine study. So this is the new story that's being run by the media. And I have a link below to a tweet that leads to a Politico article where it says, hydroxychloroquine, long touted by President Trump, is of no use treating COVID-19 and actually causes more deaths than standard care, per a new study. Well, if you go into that study, which I have linked below so you can read it for yourself, I've also linked below a thread by Mike Bravo on Twitter, where he breaks it down really well. It literally says in the study that they have used and quoted themselves that they are using to source their information, that it has not been certified by peer review. What does that mean? It reports new medical research that is yet to be evaluated and so should not be used to guide clinical practice. It also is just very sneaky in how they're doing this. The median age of the patients in this study is over 65. So they ran this study on the elderly and the sickest, but still manage, so it also says in the study, they go through using hydroxychloroquine and azithromycin in tandem and also without it, increases it, from their own study, it increases discharge rates in patients, 82.2% versus 77.4%. It cuts the need to go on a ventilator almost in half, 6.9% versus 14.1%. So this is from the study itself. I pulled this quote from the study itself. However, hydroxychloroquine, with or without azithromycin, was more likely to be prescribed to patients with more severe cases. Thus, as expected, increased mortality was observed in patients treated with hydroxychloroquine both with and without azithromycin. So yeah, anyway, go through that study, see what the mainstream media is saying. It just is, it's very clear that they have an agenda with this. And so the news that was coming out just as I was about to go live, Trump has fired vaccine doctors standing in the way of approving hydroxychloroquine for the treatment of COVID-19. Now, in the press conference that we just had, sorry, I'm short now because I'm not sitting on my legs because they're falling asleep. Trump was like, he was asked about it, and Trump's like, I've never even heard of that guy before. So, but in this article, they're saying that that the doctor was removed. So his lawyers, one of them being Deborah Katz, who also represented Christine Blasey Ford, said that this was, quote, a retaliation, plain and simple. So that's what she's saying, but then meanwhile you have Trump saying that he's never even heard of this person before. But Dr. Rick Bright, that's the doctor, said that he believed he was removed from his post because he insisted that the billions of dollars allocated by Congress should address the COVID-19 pandemic. Oh my gosh, my foot is so asleep. It's so painful. But he was also saying that he was ousted after he resisted widespread adoption of, hydroxychloroquine. They say a drug promoted by President Donald Trump, but it's obviously hydroxychloroquine. So yeah, interesting connections there, and it'll be interesting to see more come out about that. Trump demands Harvard return $8.6 million grant from $2.3 trillion stimulus. Ivy League college vows to keep it. Actually, I have all of this in here, and about Harvard basically taking this money, even though this is like taxpayer money and they have an endowment of like $40 billion. But I heard at least I thought I heard, I caught it kind of quickly, that Trump said that they are actually giving the money back now. So I don't know. News is ever changing, you guys. I make my notes. I think I'm doing a good thing by putting all my notes together a day or two in advance, and then everything changes and goes out the window by the time I go live. So c'est la vie. That's all I have for you guys in the note department. But how are you guys? Looks like you guys are having a busy conversation in here. I will scroll through. Ow. Harvard gave it back. I feel like we're gonna have a lot more come out about Harvard in the days to come. I'm seeing a lot of interesting connections. I don't believe that they are what we think of everything as being so compartmentalized, and we think of this as just an education institution. We don't realize like how interconnected everything is, and especially for it's like anything else. If you get to a certain level, you almost kind of have to be dialed into these things, and that's the same for institutions as it is for human beings. So my French stinks. Ooh, Easter dinner, that sounds nice. Yeah, I'm trying to think of, it's all about the money, absolutely. Romania, awesome. Well, thank you for being here. England, awesome. Most Ivy League schools are tools of the DS. Yes, exactly. I mean, education kind of across the board is, you know, ever since the Board of Education was created, we've actually seen a decline in education, and we've seen more of the kind of dumbing down of education for sure, and I believe a lot more, you know, hiding truths about our history and indoctrinating kids and turning kids into activists now. Like, this is the thing now that schools are trying to do, and it's happening on every level, whether you're in a you know, a public elementary school or you're in an Ivy League college. How is my playlist coming along? So I tweeted yesterday that I wanted to make a Great Awakening playlist. I'm like super into music, and I already had a couple that I was thinking of putting on there, and I thought it would be cool to get recommendations from people. And I was like incredibly overwhelmed. So many people had recommendations, and I was saving a ton of them. So I have a ton to go through now, and this is becoming a way bigger project than I had ever anticipated, but I still want to get it done. And even if I don't get like everything on there, I still want to make something that, I don't know, whatever. I know there are other people out there making playlists too. I saw after I posted that, people were like, I made a playlist and linked me to theirs. So that's cool to get like other people's input on it. But I am noticing just there are certain songs that I listen to with new ears now, and things that are kind of inspiring and interesting, you know. Music is important, even though it's really going to be hard if we ever find out that most of these bands and artists that we've listened to and loved are involved in terrible things. But we have to be able to separate those things, I guess, at least in the meantime, because that's just going to be the state of the world. Nothing we can do about that. What is $9 million to a school that pays no taxes on the billion in donations? Tuition. Yeah. I missed that, Michael. I didn't hear him say that. Michael says, I thought it was interesting that POTUS said kids will be safer than ever in national parks. I didn't catch that, but that is an interesting quote. Oh, David Wilcock is doing a mass meditation right now. It's funny, like 2 hours ago I saw he went live, and I was like, there's no way he's going to be done. So I might do mine, but whatever. Prodigy stuff is, yeah, like certain bands like Rage Against the Machine, you've always known, like they've always been just completely dialed into what was going on. Yes, that's Tesla. I'm going to make a little banner that's like, that says, this is Tesla. Oh yeah, I posted about meditating to the Above and Beyond soundtrack. It was just like, it was just something I tried last week, and I just listened to it. I didn't even go into it being like, I'm gonna meditate, but I was just like feeling terrible. You know, you guys know I had a very bad week. And I'll just do anything. Like I will try anything to pull myself out of that. I was feeling so terrible. So I put on that album because I was like, well, there must be some reason that Q linked this. So and then I found, you know, just a few kind of songs that Q had linked that were a couple minutes long. So I was like, I'm going to go check out the full album. And I found actually a YouTube that has it all, because the whole album kind of just flows into each other. It's not like separate songs, even though it is separate songs. You wouldn't know by just listening to the entire thing through. So it's actually a really great album to meditate to, because it doesn't have a break in between the songs where you get taken out of it. But I was having a very emotional reaction to it. And I mean, it was weird. I don't know if any of you guys that did it felt this too, but like there are just all these sounds kind of going on, and then all of a sudden it will just be like one note from a piano, and I would just start sobbing. It's really crazy. So I don't know if there's anything to that or if it was just my mental state, but since I posted, I had a lot of other people telling me that they were having the same experience with it, that they were trying it too. So It's pretty good. Oh, that's good. Keep all those tabs open. Listen to us all at once. You could probably do that with the mainstream media because they're all saying the same things. It would just be like, it would just sound like a crowd all speaking in unison. Yes, Flow State is the name of the album. That's right. I did it and felt amazing the next day. Thank you, Kate. Yeah, I don't know. I'm feeling a lot better. I have no idea if it has anything to do with that, but I am feeling a lot better. Somebody needs to create a Patriot retreat. That'd be cool. Mass dancing nurses videos still plentiful. I haven't seen any recently, but yeah, those are what, like, who thought that was a good idea? Eric Carmen is a patriot and a Trump supporter. He's an amazing musician and has recorded some huge hit songs over the years. He follows back like-minded people on Twitter. Yeah, he actually follows me. He retweeted me yesterday, I think, and that was exciting. There's actually this song that when I was younger and I was a Buddhist, I was in the SGI is the organization. And it was really cool back then. There were a lot of young people in it. At the time, I lived kind of close to Hollywood, and my mom and I were in Hollywood a lot, so that's where we practiced. And it was a very different. I was used to going to church with my dad, where everybody was like 100 years old, and to have the experience of like being a part of religion where everyone was like young and hip and like doing cool things, and there were a lot of people that were in the industry, so they were constantly like putting on plays and doing things like that, and it was really a cool time. But there was a song that was actually written by a man named Brian Potter, who was friends with my family. He's a big musician. Well, I mean, my mom, whatever. He was at our meetings. He's a big musician. He's written a lot of stuff, but he wrote a song called "What Can I Do?" And it's literally the most patriotic song I've ever heard in my life. And I have not heard it since, but I got to like sing it at this this big Buddhist thing when I was a kid. I got to sing it with a bunch of other kids. And it is, sometimes I think about that song and think about the lyrics to it, and it just like, it makes me cry. I would love to find that song for you. I don't know if there's a recording of it anywhere or if the lyrics are somewhere, but it's a great patriotic song. I've been hearing, you just said perhaps the music was made in certain frequencies to facilitate emotional release and clearing. Q said something like clear your mind and heal on the post, right? Yeah, exactly. Which is why, I was listening to it. That's exactly what Q said. And, there's the difference between the 440 and the, 2 or 432, 5, whatever. The difference between a frequency that is, symbiotic with your body and your mind's frequency, and then one that is kind of creates chaos in your body and mind, which is the 440, which everything was switched over to, I think in like the early 1900s or something like that. I could be wrong, but that music in the right frequency is really good and important and a lot better for you than listening to something that obviously like jumbles up your frequency. You can actually see studies on water between the frequencies and what it does to the water to be exposed to the 440 versus the 4 whatever it is. So I was hearing conflicting things. I don't know how to check if you can, if that particular album is in 440 or not, but somebody did recommend to me this app. I think the app is called 432 or whatever it is. Where it will convert your music into that frequency. So I downloaded it yesterday. Unfortunately, it doesn't work on Apple Music, where I have most of my music, but if you have music on your phone or on your computer or wherever you listen to music, download it, it will work with that. 432, thank you very much. Nazis switched to 440. Okay, interesting. Yeah, there's like something agitated, like it agitates you. Somebody just asked, how can you donate to me? So I went and looked, like I told you guys last week, I would look into Patreon. I looked into Patreon and I still don't get it. I don't understand it. And it does look to me like Patreon is set up so that you create different content for the people that donate to you on there, which I would love to do, but right now I just don't have the time to do that. So I didn't want to make a Patreon and have people paying me on there and not be giving them what they signed up for. I do have a PayPal, but that I have a PayPal. If you are so inclined and want to donate, my PayPal is under my email address, which is thekateawakening@gmail.com. But that's really the only place that you can donate to me as of right now. I'm hoping I can reapply to get monetized again on my YouTube channel, I think on May 5th. So, but unfortunately, I don't know what the offending video or videos were, and I don't know how to find that out. There's like no customer service number that you can call with YouTube and be like, hey, so which one did you take down? Or which one did you hate, so that I could take it down and reapply to get remonetized. So it makes me kind of nervous to do it, because I don't know if I apply again and they deny me, if that's it for me. If any of you out there happen to know the answer to that question, I would love for you to send me an email or message me or whatever, and talk to me about that, because I really don't know. Put a PayPal link in your descriptions. Okay, thank you. I will do that. We went over the WikiLeaks dump today. Paul, I think as far as from what I can tell, it might be the same information that's been up this whole time. And actually, let me look this up really fast. Oh, wait. There were even articles that people were sending me from like 2011, 2008, about some of these drops that people were circulating today, being like, oh my gosh, this stuff about Steve Jobs. That information was already going around at least in 2011. So, there's so much on there that obviously a lot of us haven't seen every bit of it. So some of us would be able to find information that's new to us. But as far as I can tell, this is the same information that has been there, and it's just kind of like coming up again, or got rebranded, or somebody gave it a push and made it seem like that. But this is not the first time that's happened. Get a P.O. box. I have a P.O. box. What are you trying to send me? What's in the box? What's in the box? You are not dumb. Oh, Chris, thank you. The super chats were always so, that felt like money aside, that felt so, I was so humbled by the fact that anybody would want to donate to me. And Chris, you always make me feel good. You guys always make me feel good. And I do miss it for that reason. And I feel bad having anybody donate to me or whatever. But like I said last week, if you guys want to do it, then I'm not going to stop you. But I'm hoping that May 5th I can reapply and get it figured out, and we won't have to worry about any of that anymore. The Roner's in the box. My Tesla pick is crooked. Yeah, probably. It's on a different, it has a different like hanging mechanism than the last painting that I had there. So it's just kind of like sitting on top of it right now. If I bumped it with my elbow, it would fall. So I need to get that fixed. What does 5 signify in Q-sphere? I'm so confused when they say 5 by 5. Well, the 5 thing has kind of come to have its own meaning, which is like almost like 10-4, like clear, like that's how I see it being used the most now. So when you see somebody saying like 5:5, it's usually, that's what they're saying, like 10-4. No, I did not hear about the New Zealand Prime Minister. You just ignore YouTube because it's not giving you an accurate sub count. Pay more attention to how many are joining you live. Thank you, Dana. Yeah, I wonder about that. I do. Today I got a big push and got a bunch of subscribers thanks to some people that retweeted my tweet. I just hit over like 40,000 followers on Twitter, but for some reason my YouTube hadn't moved in months. It moved today by about 1,000, which I'm very grateful for. But I know not as many people are on YouTube, I guess, as Twitter. Also, more people follow people on Twitter than they do subscribe. Like, I'll watch stuff on YouTube and I'll forget to subscribe. So just a reminder, guys, if you're not subscribed to my channel, go ahead and hit subscribe, and then also hit the notification bell. There is a slight chance that I'm going to start doing these twice a week, or maybe not this, but have another video going up. I have a list of things that I want to kind of talk about outside of the scope of the current events and just chatting with you guys that I want to put up on my channel. And so I kind of feel like them demonetizing me has just strengthened my resolve, and I'm kind of like, there was that brief moment where I was like, I'm just gonna give up. It was before they demonetized me, but like I was just going through a lot, and I feel like I was just like an arrow being pulled back to be launched forward. And right now I'm allowing myself to just be launched forward, and I am just I'm gonna double down. I'm gonna dig in and just go for this as hard as I can now, because I have a sense of purpose. I think I'm figuring it out. I think through you guys and talking with you guys, I'm getting a better sense of what I can help with in this community, and so I want to do it, and it's just time. Is that Tesla in the picture behind you? You guys are the best. Justin Timberlake, Supplies? Oh, that video. Yeah, somebody sent that to me. The Justin Timberlake has a music video for a song called Supplies. It's really weird, if you guys want to go check that out. Trump told the Navy to sink the boats. Yep. That's the kind of president we need. We're so used to having a president that's wishy-washy, or that's like, well, I'm going to do this, but if you do this, then we might retaliate. That's not how you deal with those things. You don't let people know how far you're willing to go. You don't let people know how far they're able to go before you will retaliate. You just let them think if they take one step, you are going to take them out. So I like it when he talks like that. I think that's how a president should talk. It makes me giddy. Just label the picture already. I'm gonna. Anyone heard of artificial intelligence? Created a new workplace monitoring tool that issues an alert when anyone in less than the desired distance from a colleague. I think, are you talking about the drone technology? Is that what you mean? Watching the White House press briefings make me feel safe. Yeah, me too. Okay, I will let you know if I got your email. Method sent you. Awesome. Well, it looks like Tesla when he was younger. I don't know, I didn't paint it. If I painted it, it would look like Snuffleupagus. Put a yellow Post-it note on his hand saying, I'm Tesla. I like that idea. I like that idea a lot, actually. Got here late. Are you going to be streaming Tuesdays still, or Wednesday, or is Wednesdays the new regular? No, Tuesdays will be, it's still going to be Tuesdays. I got my days confused yesterday. And so, I need to start setting alarm. Every day just bleeds together these days. But Tuesdays at 5 p.m. Pacific is when I am going to be doing these lives. Have I looked into the asteroid headed our way? I haven't. My brother was telling me a little bit about that the other day, but I haven't looked into it. Do I need to duck and cover? Unmanned floor cleaner, I like that. Stupid robots. These stupid robots, they don't know anything. Stupid robots. I would love to have a Trump painting. I would. Sometimes I want to, there are cool artists that do those kind of renditions of different celebrities in, you know, old-timey clothing, and it looks, you know, something like this. It doesn't look like a super modern thing, because I don't really have any like modern art. I'm not into modern art. I am into portraits, and I'm into some abstract as long as it looks happy and not grotesque. But I don't think any of them do Trump. Artists aren't really his demographic. Well, maybe they are now. Who knows? Oh, that just reminded me that it's 6 o'clock. Actually, the reason I don't do Wednesday nights is because, well, I do Tuesday nights, and I always have, but Wednesday nights is Pink Patriot Hour on the 1 Foot and 5D channel, which is actually just about to start. So I'm going to take off from here, and I'm going to go join them over there if you want to go join me over there. Let me get you guys the link really fast. Okay, so, just kidding. Yeah, we'll go over there and we can chat over there. I don't want to dig into their time. So, oops, that's not the link I want. This is the link I want. Hold up. Oop, it looks like they just started. So here is the link to that, and I will give you guys that. And hopefully that works. Somebody let me know if that works. How can you send your kid to school without vaccinations? I believe, I don't know if it's in every state, but many states you can do a religious exemption. So thank you guys for being here this fine Wednesday, and meet me over on the 1 Foot and 5D channel for the Pink Patriot Hour to go chat with me, and I will see you next week on Tuesday at 5 Pacific. Thanks, you guys. Bye.